Hi, and welcome to this segment of the Journal. I'm Dr. Jennifer Price, the Superintendent of Schools here in North Andover. So last time I talked about my entry and what I have seen as the real strengths of this community, which were really the strength of a community that's really committed to public schools, was our RAISE initiative, and then also the incredible work of our faculty and staff within our schools. So this month I thought I'd spend a moment saying what I learned from my entry survey about what we most need to work on here in the North Andover Public Schools, and just share a little bit of that with all of you. So in the survey, 461 folks responded, and the biggest thing that really came through was some concerns around some of our academics, specifically around consistency of our curriculum, especially in our elementary schools, around some concerns, for instance, that we only have one librarian in for 5 elementary schools, and some concern around, are we really making sure that all kids are being held to high expectations? So it's an area for me to look at. It's an area for me to really think about. The second thing was, again, linked, was communication. So are we communicating what we're doing? Are we communicating well? Are we communicating consistently? As you may or may not know, I started a nightly news, which is our superintendent's monthly newsletter. People have responded well to that, but just making sure that we're communicating as much as we can about what's happening in our schools, if there are issues or if there are concerns, that we have a clear and consistent approach to communication. The next part that I'd like to talk about is in terms of technology. Are we at a place where we have the technology we need to have our students be able to learn at the 21st century? It's clear that, especially until recently, we have had very limited technology within the North Andover Public Schools, and it's clear that we really need to make some changes in terms of increasing technology. We were able to do that this summer by getting 450 additional Chromebooks into our schools. Our plan is to increase that number each of the next 2 summers at about that. So our hope is, over time, we will have the technology that we really need in our classrooms for our students and our teachers. Some other issues that came up is issues around resources. We have a number of classes that are class sizes above what we would like in terms of, especially the school committee guidelines. This year, 40% of our classes in our elementary school level are running above the school committee guidelines. Our goal is to continue to reduce that number so that we have class sizes that allow our teachers to make sure that they're differentiating and supporting all kids. So these are some of the things I'm learning as part of my entry. I reported this back to the school committee. My next step is really to kind of take all of this information I've learned by talking to so many and trying to really come up with what are the most critical areas for me to focus my superintendency on. Last thing I just want to talk about is I know that the snow season is coming, and as you can imagine, this is what superintendents can get most stressed out about in terms of deciding whether or not we're going to be in school on a snow day. I don't have any news on that front other than to say I've decided to do something called the Superintendent Snow Challenge on snow days, where I'm going to be asking the students of the North Andover Public Schools District to do a challenge. And each time there will be 2 options, and they can do one or both. There will be an academic challenge. So for instance, we've been working with the Stevens Memorial Library to maybe do some type of library bingo that they can do within their home. We have some math that we're going to be asking kids to do. And there's also going to be a service challenge. So we're talking about having kids shovel their neighbors' driveways, write some cards to active military or veterans. And so the idea here is, on a day where we are not in school, that the students of the North Andover Public Schools are pushing themselves academically, but also hopefully making North Andover a slightly better place in terms of their service. If you have any ideas, I'm soliciting ideas for the Superintendent Snow Challenge. Feel free to contact me via email or feel free to call. I'd love to hear any ideas that the residents of North Andover might have about what our kids could be doing on snowy days. And as always, feel free to follow me at NASUPT on Twitter, just to keep up with what's happening in the North Andover Public Schools. Thank you, and thanks for watching this segment of the Journal.